Welcome to the big picture. The exodus of the Kashmiri Pandits from the Kashmir Valley in the early 1990s and the question of the homecoming ever since has been both a political and emotional issue. With the formation of the PDP-BJP alliance government in Jammu and Kashmir a couple of months back, the question of resettling the 62,000 Kashmiri Pandit family who had been forced to migrate has once again gained traction. The BJP's proposal to resettle the Pandits in exclusive enclaves has caused tensions in the valley. In fact, protests have erupted in Srinagar today, with some separatists protesting against any segregated townships for the Pandits. Chief Minister Mufti Mohammad Saeed has recently clarified that there was no such plan and any resettlement will be done in an assimilated manner. However, many questions have cropped up following this proposal, and today we will discuss all the pros and cons related to the issue. To discuss this, I have with me Dr. Radha Kumar, Director General of Delhi Policy Group and former interlocutor on Jammu and Kashmir, J.L. Kaul, Senior Journalist, Pushp Saraf, also a Senior Journalist, and on the phone line from Srinagar is Dr. Mahmood Beg, a former MP. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Beg, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, please.
Mr. Beg, what do you think of this plan?
I think I would quite agree with Chief Minister what he said on the floor of the House in the Assembly yesterday. Look here, we are known, I mean we, the people of Kashmir, we are known to live in harmony. We have lived in harmony for centuries together. I must tell you that on Shivratri Day, it would be incomplete for Kashmiri Muslims unless we would visit and have fish with them. And they would do the same on Eid. So when we want their return with dignity. We want that they should be able to live with us as our neighbors in harmony. Segregating them would be, I think, I'm afraid, it would create more friction, which would be unfortunate, which would be against Kashmiri ethos. So even Chief Minister made an appeal to separatists and everybody else that don't politicize this. This is a human issue. We are known to have lived together for centuries in complete harmony, and this is what we want. So segregation, I'm afraid, it would cause, God forbid, more friction. It would cause disharmony. It wouldn't help the cause. So better would be, and let me tell you, things have improved. It's not what we had in 1990s. Things have improved. They do come now.
And you think?
Sorry.
So you think that when they return, they should return and live in harmony along with everybody as they used to live before they were forced to migrate?
Before 89, absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Beg, please stay on. I'll come back to you, Mr. Kaul. Mr. Kaul, there is another basic question. We are now talking of segregating and things. There are 62,000 families. This is not the first time that there has been attempts to, get the Kashmiri Pandits to go back to the valley. It has not been very successful in the past. Do you think it's going to be successful this time?
No. I don't think it is going to be successful, because when you are rehabilitating a community as a whole, it doesn't mean giving them small houses. After all, Kashmiri Pandits have been living in India in various cities. They have their houses, or they are doing well. They are all educated. They have some jobs. Why do they want to go to Kashmir, back to Kashmir? If not as a community, if not to preserve their culture, or if not to preserve their way of life.
Right.
But if you ask them to go and live as they used to live before this Holocaust, it is impossible to do it, because majority of the houses are no longer there. They have either been sold or burned down and resettled. There are other people who live them. It means you have to get them vacated. You have to get those deeds undone. And secondly, what are they going to do in
after they go back?
After they go back, where are the jobs? There are no jobs in Kashmir. There are no jobs for those who live there. There are no industries which can provide jobs. Government cannot provide jobs for everybody. What are they going to do in Kashmir after when you know that 99% of them are educated. I'm not talking of the quality jobs of engineers and doctors and others, CAs. Not even small minor jobs
are
available. How are they going to manage? And thirdly, what are they going to do as an independent citizens of Kashmir? Do they have any political rights? As a group of Kashmiri Pandits living, say, in one part of downtown Srinagar, say at 20 families, what do they have? What type of a political right they have? Can they elect a panchayat member? No. Can they defeat a candidate? No. Can they even say something about the government? No. And I wonder, why should a Kashmiri migrant go back?
Okay, you raised a very fundamental question. Radha Kumar, you spent quite some time there, met a lot of people. What was the sentiments? You think that there is that this attempt on the part of the new government to get these people back, we heard what Mr. Kaul said. In the context of that, how do you look at this whole exercise which is going on?
Well, let me say, first of all, I don't think that you can approach it in this sense of there's only one way. When we were interlocutors, we met two different groups of Kashmiri, well, three actually. There were, of course, the few Kashmiri Pandits that are left in the valley and who were struggling and finding it quite difficult economically to survive. Then there were some wealthier Pandits who had to leave the valley, who had come back to invest in the valley, which I found truly a very heartwarming and wonderful thing. Relatively few, of course.
And quite adventurous also.
Very much so. It must be said that they were retired people who had worked, say, in the US or in Europe or whatever, and that was a very small number, 3 or 4 people that I met. Then we met people under the Prime Minister's scheme,
right,
which was for teachers. So we met a large number, actually, of young lady teachers who were living in the two areas that Mufti had built in 2002 to 4, outside of Budgam and outside of Anantnag. I have to say that they seemed a little isolated and a little vulnerable security-wise. That was the first point we made to the state government. We also found, however, a serious problem in that these were young ladies, newly married, with small children, and they had to sign an affidavit when they moved into this housing that they would not bring their families with them. And we did point out that this actually negated the entire purpose of the exercise.
Absolutely.
Of course, you know how bureaucrats are. So their reasoning was that this is transient. They are supposed to stay here until they find their feet and find their own housing. But unfortunately, that's not a very humanitarian way of looking at an issue, and as I said, it defeated the purpose. Then we saw, for example, just before Shopian, a whole series of absolutely beautiful Pandit homes which had to be abandoned. They were vacant, as Mr. Kaul had said. Some of them had been burnt, but they were not occupied. And therefore, should those families wish to go back, should they feel that sufficient security is available, those whose properties, those who want their properties back are entitled. Under any conditions, they are entitled to their properties. Should they wish to live in those places, they are entitled to be given security. One of the things that we had suggested at that time was that the state government was not approaching the issue in the right way. The first thing to do, for example, for the people who are living outside of Anantnag, the first thing to have done would have been to get the respected leaders and elders of Anantnag to form welcoming and hospitality, let us say, groups that would
Make them feel
would be
comfortable
there.
and welcome.
That would be, yes, and then comes the question of the restoration of the way of life. Those few thousands who have remained in the valley have kept that tradition alive. So this would strengthen and give more life and dynamism to that tradition. I don't believe that any of these things are so difficult to do. They can all be done with a little careful thinking and a little commitment.
No, but so you welcome the move of the present government to get these people back, and you think it can be done?
I think that in dribs and drabs it can be done, and it will happen if properly done. Quite apart from that, and by the way, this is not a new initiative.
It is not.
It is an initiative that started in 2002. It was the Vajpayee and Mufti governments at that time that had initiated it.
But it has not had much success.
It's had very small. As I said, this meeting, the teachers, it was very good to see. The third point, though, is the political. There are groups of the community that are saying that they will only feel safe if they live together in clusters, and that will have to be dealt with
in a separate clusters of their own.
That is what certainly some groups are saying. Not all. Others are going under different approaches and so on. But this is a demand, and this is the demand perhaps that is now coming to the fore.
Absolutely. Push. What are the options before, now that the Chief Minister has denied that there is any such plan to put them in clusters, in separate clusters and things like that? How successful will this whole thing be? After hearing Mr. Kaul, it looks like a very bleak prospect.
There are certain practical problems at practical level, and nothing can happen till at least the two major parties take the lead. One of Mr. Beg's National Conference and the other People's Democratic Party, and lead Kashmiri Pandits return from the front. Otherwise, it is not at all practical. You may have separate enclaves, but those separate enclaves will not serve any purpose. Even Kashmiri Pandits, what has happened during the last 25 years is that an entirely new generation of Kashmiri Pandits has grown up outside their ancestral place.
Right.
They are in Jammu, Delhi. Entire new world has opened for them. They find it more challenging, economically, development-oriented, for prosperity. Of course, they have lived through the trauma their parents have gone through during this period of rehabilitating themselves in entirely new surroundings, under a lot of cultural, spiritual, and economic isolation.
Isolation and challenges.
This is one community which was very well knit. Marriages outside were virtually unheard of, Mr. Kaul will be. But now everything is happening in an entirely new world. Why should those young persons be willing to go back, as Mr. Kaul has also said? And nothing, till at political level, you do something really practical. You make them feel wanted, that we are here to protect you, we lead you from the front.
No, you think the present situation, on the other side, there are these protests going on. People are saying that you're trying to create, some kind of, people are using fantastic words saying that you're creating another Israel here, or other Palestine here, and things like that. These
there is a particular group which use this language even during Amarnath land agitation and others. But that you can't help it. We are that particular.
No, but what I'm saying is, this kind of an atmosphere.
But separate enclaves, of course, should be avoided. We are that in of 62,000 families you mentioned are migrants. Grish, I may mention 1,700 are Muslim migrants.
Out of them?
Muslim families.
Out of them.
Their isolation may, but of course their number comparatively is small, but they face double dilemma. They don't belong anywhere, it seems. Nobody is talking about them.
Okay, Mr. Beg. Mr. Beg, what Pushp says, that it is now the political, how firm the political parties are, how firm the political persons are in ensuring that this plan works. You think this plan works in the context of what Mr. Kaul was saying?
No, we have to do it. At all costs, we have to do it. And honestly, to be very honest with you, if you go to common people, talk to them, they all feel incomplete without Kashmiri Pandits. Honestly speaking, and I also as Muslim, I must tell you, we were taught by Kashmiri teachers. We could do better in other fields, but not in teaching, which is all important in today's world. One, two, if you come there, their families come there, that doesn't bar them to go to the rest of the country for jobs or even outside the country. That's not barred. Even Kashmiri Muslims, they have gone to other parts of the country, they have gone outside. And let me tell you very honestly, it's not, yes, we feel badly, we are miserable without them, there is no doubt about it. But having said that, it's not only them. We mainstream political parties, whether it was National Conference, People's Democratic Party, Congress, BJP, hundreds and thousands of Kashmiri Muslims got massacred and murdered by militants all along and all through. And some of them, with conviction, defied their bans. I remember the first assassination was Muhammad Yusuf Halwai. He defied separatist boycott calls. They had given a blackout call on Republic Day, and he was given a warning. He said, no warning. I care 2 hoots for these warnings, and he defied that, and he was killed. It's not a question of, yes, as community they have suffered.
Sorry, Mr.
Muslim versus Pandits.
No, Mr. Beg, sorry to intervene. If these families were to return, however many would decide to return, what will they do? The questions raised by Mr. Kaul, saying that there are no jobs there, there are no, there's no security for them to come back. They'll come back and do what? And another important thing raised by Mr. Kaul, that what kind of political empowerment will they have when they come back?
These things can be looked into, but the question is, you have to start from somewhere. You have to start this process ticking, because unless you do that, yes, hurdles will come. Yes, it won't be that easy, but we have to cross, if we have the political conviction and will, we have to cross these hurdles. And so far as jobs are concerned, we have, even in Kashmir, who are back in Kashmir, living there, we have, I think, registered 5 lakh educated, unemployed youth who are there waiting for the jobs. There are no jobs. It's not only for Pandits, it's applicable, it's one and all.
That's exactly,
in Kashmir are facing this problem.
That's exactly the point, Mr. Beg, that's exactly the point. When people who are living there, whether they're Muslims or they're, Pandits or whoever else who are living there, you are yourself saying there are 5 lakh youths who have registered as unemployed youths. Now this new group of people coming there, and how are you going to deal with a situation like that?
No, but unemployment is an issue as such. We have to deal with that. But that doesn't bar them of, that doesn't mean that they can't come back or they shouldn't come back.
No, Mr. Beg,
issue that has to be addressed.
No, Mr. Beg. No, Mr. Beg, my question is, do you think that this government, the present government, is being a little hasty in trying to do this without having really laid the foundations for the return?
No, as Professor Radha Kumar said, this is not something new. This was started by Mufti Saab way back in 2002 when Mr. Vajpayee was there and Mufti Saab was the Chief Minister of this state. So this is nothing new, but this has to be done.
This has to be done. But how will it be done, Mr. Kaul? How will it be done? My question is this.
There are some misconceptions.
Mr. Kaul, the problem seems to be that, as Radha Kumar pointed out, Ms. Beg is also saying, this process is on since 2002. You mean from 2002 to 2015, there should have been some foundation laid for these people to return. So has there been any foundation laid?
Exactly, I agree with you. Point is, there are some misconceptions. When we say they want to live in clusters, it doesn't mean they want to live in isolation. Suppose you create a cluster outside Srinagar. It doesn't mean the people who are living exactly there, non-Kashmiri Pandits or that is Muslims, they will be uprooted. Any colony created for the sake of Kashmiri Pandits does not mean it is exclusively Kashmiri Pandits. But they will live in groups. they can create their, they can create their mandir, they can create their schools, they can create their hospitals.
So you're saying that kind of a thing is necessary?
What I mean to say is, when you are talking of rehabilitating, it means completely rehabilitating economically as well. Why not? Why shouldn't the migrants go back and participate in development of Kashmir? They are capable of creating infrastructure in education. They are educated and they are educationists. They are capable of creating a full-fledged medical system, including teaching and super specialty hospitals. But give them the opportunity and give them the plan.
Okay. Radha Kumar, no, these kind of facilities in the last 13 years, since 2002, what kind of foundation you saw being laid? You know, as of now, we seem to be starting from the scratch.
No, it was a small foundation, but there was a foundation. You had, as I mentioned to you, these two places, blocks of flats, basically, which I suppose would accommodate about 70 or 80.
My question is, so economically, what will they do, the jobs?
All the people who stayed in these flats were people who came under the Prime Minister's scheme for their rehabilitation with jobs as teachers in schools.
Okay.
Now, I think what Mr. Kaul is suggesting is a very imaginative idea, that you can build on that and expand it, not just at a sort of primary school level, but a scheme which can deal with education at all levels and bring whatever talents and so on are there
and give them the opportunity to do that. Give the Kashmiri Pandits returning to the opportunity. Is that what Mr. Kaul is talking about?
Look, all opportunities. All opportunities will have to be such that they will not bring any form of hostility towards Pandits. So if you are incorporating in education, you put together a good community group of excellent people from every community in Jammu and Kashmir on education. And you see, if there are specific talents that the Pandits who had migrated and who have engaged in particular types of education, they are able to offer.
So offer them opportunities.
Then that comes there.
Okay.
As I said, business opportunities. This is a huge area. Kashmir is one of the most state-controlled economies. It is the most in the whole of India. And certainly one of the greatest state-controlled economies in the whole world. You have got to liberalize. And liberalization means you have got to offer economic opportunities for agriculture, for trade, for food processing, for a whole...
We have heard all this for the last several years. We have been hearing this push. You know, we have been hearing all this. I'm not doubting the motivations or the intentions of the various governments in the land, but we have heard this kind of thing. But has anything happened on the ground? And if today also we are talking, as Mr. Kaul says, that what will these people do when they go back, that means that there are not enough opportunities for them to go back.
You know, the sentiment is there, the will is there, but there is no way.
And the politicians are trying to make use of the situation.
I think it has been a slogan most of the time.
It has been a slogan so far. Yes.
I'm not cynical about it.
No, we should not pander to the already despair and cynicism. One should encourage people to do better.
Yeah,
I don't think we should suggest that because it hasn't happened well enough in the past, it cannot happen better in the future.
Nobody is saying that, but
nobody is saying that. And in any case, it has to be more than an academic exercise when you see what is happening on the field.
Comprehensive
plan. It is not about finding new jobs for the people who go back. It is also about finding jobs for the people who are already living there. Even in Budgam and Anantnag, all the flats were not fully occupied.
Right.
A beginning was made. But why did it not succeed during the last 13 years? Unless we address those reasons and take some real steps on the ground.
No,
I'm merely saying that private entrepreneurship, it has not happened during the last...
It has not happened. No, as of now, when
that's not correct.
I'll come to you. This government, this new alliance government in Kashmir, in Jammu and Kashmir, and the central government in Delhi, since being, both of them being the same, do you think that there's better hope now?
Yes, I think together they can do a lot if they want, but they will have to make a lot of financial sacrifice for the purpose. If you expect that Kashmir on its own will be able to invest in it. It will be wrong. Center will have to make a major contribution towards it, and
no, and
to
the
build
most
private
important thing,
enterprise will not be easy, as we go even by the experience of the railways. It faced a lot of problems in the beginning, tracks and other things. And but for all that, it has to be a huge, huge financial investment.
Yes,
and to bring back those generation of Kashmiri Pandits who are looking towards the world and who have moved into all corners of the world
to get them back is not going to be easy.
Not easy. Not easy.
Yes, Radha Kumar.
Let me start by saying the first principle has to be those who wish to come back. Later you can say what can we do to attract people who may not wish to come back. No, there's no question of forcing anybody to go anywhere who doesn't want to go. Now, having said that,
there are a huge lot of skepticism about how many people want to go back. That is a fact. That's a reality. I think we need to take note of that reality.
No, let me put it quite simply. Anyone who has suffered a trauma is obviously going to fear the recurrence of that trauma. So why anyone should expect that everybody would want to go back, I have never understood.
Absolutely.
But that's not relevant. The relevant issue is that those who want to go back and who feel that they have been denied that opportunity for these 20 years of insurgency and conflict are now the effort has to be to make them feel that no, that opportunity is not being denied, rather the government, the new government and the people of the state have an equal commitment to making that opportunity real to them.
Okay.
And small things go a long
Absolutely.
way.
There's no doubt. Mr. Kaul, how do you evoke this confidence? How does the government evoke this confidence among all those Pandits who are living outside?
I don't think only the PDP and BJP alone has to do it. I think other political parties, such as National Conference and Congress, also should be taken in confidence, and a comprehensive agreement has to be done.
One problem seems to be that this whole enclave business seems to have created a problem of its own. And in this kind of an atmosphere, today you are seeing protests in Srinagar. How do you get this confidence among the people?
Let's explain what actually enclave means.
Mr. Beg, very quickly, how are you going to evoke this confidence among the people when there are protests happening in Srinagar now about this proposal for an enclave and things like that? All this confusion which has been created.
No, let me make things very clear. The protest and everybody who is protesting, any party which is protesting, and I think all of us are in agreement. The protest is only against segregating them.
Absolutely.
Clusters and colonies.
Right.
There is no disagreement cutting across the party barriers. There is no disagreement, and we are proud of it that we want Kashmiri Pandits back.
Mr. Beg, Mr. Beg, one second. Mr. Beg, 1 second.
Yes.
This proposal of segregation was apparently part of the BJP's proposal to bring the Kashmiri Pandits back. You think the BJP will withdraw from that stand which they have taken?
No, it's for them to take a call on this. But I think, realistically speaking, without as they say, without politicking about things, it's a human problem. I think all of us, the stakeholders, the main stakeholders, whether they are Kashmiri Pandits, Muslims, or all political parties, we are in agreement that all of us want them back. But this creating segregation and colonies and clusters will create a fear psychosis.
Absolutely.
I don't think that will not help the cause. It will make them more vulnerable.
Okay, sir. Sorry, we have run out of time. We will take your word for that, and other people also have their own views on this. We'll wait and watch how things will develop and how seriously this time the government will be able to get these Kashmiri Pandits who have been outside back, and if they will come back, and how much will come back. These are all the things which we'll have to wait and watch. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture. Same time on Monday. Meanwhile, have a great weekend.